Finally, one more thought. Plato taught that when there is an income tax, the just man will pay more and the unjust less on the same amount of income. But however we feel about justice, let's face it, none of us really looks forward to paying the income taxes we owe. And so when we're in an election season, our candidates go out of their way to promise they'll cut our taxes if only we'll vote for them. Former President Trump touts the tax cuts he got through back in 2017, taxes that by their terms were supposed to go away for individuals next year, but that Mr. Trump promises he'll make permanent if he's elected to another term.
Instead of a Biden tax hike, I'll give you a Trump middle class, upper class, lower class, business class, big tax cut. You're going to have the biggest tax cut. On day one, we will throw out Bidenomics and we will reinstate MAGAnomics.
Mr. Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, proposes even more tax breaks in the form of a child tax credit he'd take up to $5,000 a year.
J.D. Vance is calling for a higher minimum wage. What is he going to hire Lena Khan next? I'm not sure. Went on Sunday morning television to call for an expanded child tax credit.
This urge to cut our taxes has injected a rare moment of bipartisan agreement into the election, when the former president said he'd eliminate taxes on tips paid to service staff.
And remember, what I'm going to do is something that nobody has ever even thought about doing. No tax on tips. For all of you waitresses, for all of you caddies at Doral.
His opponent, Vice President Harris, seconded the motion.
When I am president, we will continue our fight for working families of America, including to raise the minimum wage and eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
Leading Mr. Trump to cry foul because the Democrats have stolen his idea.
But she truly is a radical. She's flip-flopping on everything to get elected. After she gets elected, it all goes right back to where it was.
But let's get back to that justice part of paying our taxes, or at least making sure we're doing our part. It will come as no surprise that we have a deficit problem in the United States, one that puts at risk what our children will inherit from us.
You can't leave your children a negative bequest unless you're doing it through the government. And that's what we're basically doing, is we're leaving our children a negative bequest by running up the debt.
And as much as people like to talk about fixing the deficit through spending cuts alone,
we're already on track to spend more on interest payments than we are for national defense. And regrettably, none of these guys are proposing anything about it.
Most experts tell us that we're going to need someone to pay more taxes someplace if we're to get our fiscal house in order. Which brings us to a possible example of Plato's just man. One of the richest men around, Warren Buffett, has long complained that, if anything, he pays too little in taxes.
Right now, because of loopholes and shelters in the tax code, a quarter of all millionaires pay lower tax rates than millions of middle-class households. Right now, Warren Buffett pays a lower tax rate than his secretary.
This week, we learned that Mr. Buffett has taken concrete action to help us out at least a bit with our national deficit. When he sold off a good portion of Berkshire Hathaway's stake in Apple, he ran up a tax bill of some $15 billion. Now, that may seem like a high price to pay for a shrewd investment, but as Doug Kahn, my baby tax professor back at Michigan, baby tax is what we call tax one as opposed to the much more difficult corporate tax course. As Doug taught us all those years ago, the good news about paying income taxes is that they're always less than the money you made. And in the case of Warren Buffett, he owes that $15 billion on a nice gain of $59 billion. And maybe it will relieve a bit of the tax burden on those less able to afford it.
Mrs. Gilmore owes the IRS $270,000. We're going to have to sell the house to someone else.
But she's an old lady. I mean, look at her. She's old.